with Danielle Meyer, and Danielle's with Coastline. Coastline's a new company introduced to me, but they're not a new company in general. And so they're in the, I would say in my terms, they're in the high-end travel planning. So, you can book your trip to Wisconsin Dells if you want. And if you live in Minnesota like me, it's pretty easy. But if you want to go somewhere, and do a big trip in another country or even a big trip in the United States, but want some help planning it, that's kind of where you guys are at. But before we go there, Danielle, tell me a little bit about yourself, like how long you've been in the industry and who is Coastline? What's it look like?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Brad, for having me. We're super excited to work with you more. But Coastline Travel, it's used to be a smaller agency, and now we've really grown and we have advisors all over the US and some international now. But Coastline Travel was actually founded by our owner's father. And so it is a family-run company. So even though we've grown, we really like to kind of keep those family roots. We have about 50 employees, but then we have independent contractors as well. But Coastline Travel, like you said, we do specialize in luxury travel around the world. And like you said, between, places within the US to pretty much any destination you can imagine in the world, we can book it for you, book a trip there. The beauty of being an established agency is that we have contacts in the world. So not only are people working with us to work on their bookings, but we are also partnering with people that live in Portugal, that are on the ground. We have all of those relationships. So not only are we taking care of you when you're in the US planning your trip, but we're also taking care of you when you're somewhere international. So yeah, I think so I've been with Coastline for about 8 years this year. And, people always say, do you just get to travel all the time? Is it a dream job? Yes, it's a dream job. I mean, you're working in travel. And so, anything, of course, with any job, you have highs and lows. Things can be stressful, but,
Right.
I really am passionate about what I do. And I think a lot of people at our company is really passionate about what we do. And I think that's what's really a fun environment to be around. I
Right.
started in sales, kind of right out of college. I lived in Spain for a little bit, so I already had the travel bug, and then I came to Coastline, kind of started in sales, and now I oversee sales and partnerships, and we have a team of
Yeah.
advisors here.
That's great. That's so great. The one thing is Trudy and I will be married 30 years this year. And the one thing that we talk about a lot is experiences. We
Hmm.
were fortunate enough to build what we would call our dream home. And I told her at the end of the day, it's just sticks without family and friends and,
Yeah.
things that are going on inside the house or at the beach or whatever. And to me, travel is just one of those things. Like, you should save money and you should retire and do all those things. But those experiences that last forever, like we look back at some trips we've had with our kids and things like that, like it's just so important. And so I think you guys play such a huge role in trying to make those things a success.
Yeah.
We traveled with you guys to Greece a couple years ago and had just a wonderful experience. And I'll just use from my perspective, and we get to go to Portugal coming up, as you had mentioned, here in a couple of weeks. So just very blessed to do it. But what's really cool is that once we engage with you or someone from your team, that engagement doesn't stop. Like when I travel 2 weeks from now, it's not done. Meaning if there's issues that arise, I have the ability to get a hold of somebody from your team to say, hey, this is what's going on. Or you guys even know maybe real time with flights and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
tell me how that works with, like, how do you guys still stay engaged? Not just the planning, which we can talk about, but once the
Yeah.
trip starts.
No, I'm glad you said that. That's a big part of the way we work with people. And we always say a job in the travel industry is not a 9 to 5. I think there's a lot of jobs that aren't a 9 to 5, but especially, I have my phone, and if it's ringing at 2 a.m., it's like you just know. I don't sleep super heavily when I know my clients are in the air or they're traveling, because you just know to be available. So we do the trip planning part, and then we obviously stay in touch up until your trip. There's kind of different points where we hit, checking in to make sure your passports are good, all of those logistics. But then once you leave, you'll have a contact of your advisor who's typically based in the US you can reach out to. And then especially those international trips where you're doing transfers and tourings and all of those pieces, majority of the time you also have a direct contact where you're going. So you have someone who's living in the same place you are. So say if it's 2 a.m. here, but it's, a different time somewhere else, you'll have both of that. So I think it gives a lot of people peace of mind. One, especially people who are nervous to travel and go international. I completely
Mhm.
understand that, especially you're in a place with a different language. So it's nice to have us as a contact. We know your itinerary, we know when you're flying. We also get notifications when your flights take off, when they land. A lot of the times, we'll see, okay, this flight is delayed 6 hours, they're not going to make their connection. I'll go in and be like, hey, just saw this, I'm working on your flight. Don't worry, I'm taking care of it because we have an air team as well. And then by the time you land somewhere, you already have your flight to the next place and it's fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely hands on there because like you said, the whole goal is we're planning a full experience. So if your experience getting there is tough, like we want to try to ease that as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't end. So we're kind of available the whole time. Our contacts who we trust are available, and that's nice in more of the sense of you're supposed to, on your itinerary it says meet here for the transfer at 8 a.m. and you can't find your transfer. You can text the person who's, on the grounds, be like, oh, they're on their way, they're right here, just kind of little things like that. But then also, we stay through the end of the trip and usually we'll do like a recap call. We love getting feedback and understanding, and by that time people are normally ready to plan their next trip. So
Yeah. It's so interesting. So when we went to Greece, I mean, I truly believe I'm not better than anybody, but it felt pretty good when
yeah,
you get off an airplane in a foreign country and someone's holding a sign that says Brad Connors on it,
yeah,
and then you're going to your transfer. Just that those little touches were so important that it was lined up and it was everywhere we went. Like it was just all done. And it was delivered to you in an app. So when you wake up in the morning, the kids are like, where are we going? It's like, look at your app. You don't have to
yeah,
ask me. You can just see exactly what's happening. But you guys book meals, you book excursions, you kind of take care of all that stuff.
yeah.
The other thing that happened is my daughter just recently got married and went to Italy and France and they had all kinds of issues with air. And I remember her calling from the airport us and saying how people were just freaking out because they couldn't get rebooked. And she was meanwhile on the phone with her person from your company at Coastline
Yeah,
and they already had her rebooked and kind of take like it just that peace of mind and ease
sure.
knowing that it's there is so important. And we'll talk about the investment, which is really minimal in my mind. We'll get
Yeah.
to that in a minute. But being able to have that ease of being able to know that somebody's on your team to help take
Yeah.
care of those things is super important.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, we really believe, we really care. Like I said, I think that's where the passion piece comes back. Like we truly care that you're having the best experience that you could possibly have. And, that goes into a lot of, the first planning call, understanding personalities and understanding kind of what you're passionate about. But I appreciate you saying that because it is something like we care about. And I've been in that point where I was traveling and I booked my own flights through our air team and I just texted our director of air. I was like, I don't know what she goes, don't worry, Danielle. Just I'm gonna send it to your email. I'm like, is this what it feels like? This is really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
So let's go through that process. So someone's interested
Yeah.
and they get a hold of you, whether it's a conversation with you initially or somebody on your team, but what's that look like? And then what's the investment look like?
Yeah, of course. So a lot of the time someone will reach out, they'll either be in contact with me or someone on the team. A lot of the times, a lot of people first kind of touch base with me and I still do sell a lot, but a lot of the time it's just putting the right person with the right advisor. We have a team of 12 advisors and they're all incredible. I really love our team, but each person, has a different personality, has a different thing they're passionate about and or like something special. So it's really making sure you're fitting the right person. So that's kind of the first step is, me understanding who would be the right fit. And then usually we'll have someone fill out a short questionnaire. That's just kind of getting an idea of, okay, just fill out your name. Where are you thinking? Do you have dates in mind? Do you have a budget in mind? It's just kind of preliminary just to get an understanding before the first call. And then
Sure.
once one fills that out, then your advisor will follow up to schedule a first call with you. And that first call is kind of diving into everything. So kind of what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? And in the world of travel, like you said, there's so many experiences. There's people who are really into animals or people who like hiking or food and wine, just understanding kind of personality and also how people work. Would you rather do phone calls? Would you rather like emails? Things like that. So that's the kind of initial and understanding the full scope of the trip. And so, like you said, what we really specialize is it's what we call as FIT, which is a foreign independent tour. So that's kind of when you're taking a big trip and you're going to anywhere international and we're doing the full package. So we're doing transfers. The idea is the second you get on the plane, you don't have to think. Your driver's there, your transfers are there, it's all taken care of.
One second, Daniel. Let's get into, because this is really important that I didn't realize. The boots on the ground aspect, the people in a foreign country that you know. Like, spend just a minute talking about that, because that's when I first started working with you. It's like, oh, you're gonna look online and you're gonna find a property in Crete and you're gonna book it for us. Like, it's
Yeah.
not that. Like, sure that it's different.
No. Yeah, and I'll touch on too. I mean, there is a few different ways you can work with us. I would say to really understand the full benefit of working with Coastline, working with a seasoned advisor is by doing it this way. Like we said, boots on the ground. We do offer service that is hotel only, where people really just want the benefits we get with hotels, which I can touch on later. But really, the foreign independent tours is boots on the ground. So I'll use Africa, for example, if anyone's interested in going on. I use that Africa because Africa is very complicated in all the logistics. You know, you can either go to Cape Town, there's a bunch of different countries. But what happens is we partner with a company that is based in Africa. So say example, Cape Town is in South Africa. We'll partner with a company who lives in Cape Town, is based in Cape Town. They're the ones every week, they're checking the hotels, they have a pulse on everything that's going on, you know, and we travel and scout as much as we can. You know, we have our advisors, we have someone traveling at least once a month because you have to be able to understand what you're selling. But what's nice about the boots on the ground is they can be like, hey, this is a hotel we used to sell a lot. I just checked it out last week and it's in need of a refurbishment. This is what I think we should shift to. So it's just having that partner and knowing, you know, we can't be everywhere all at once, even though we wish we could. And so that is helpful in the planning portion. They're kind of
Right.
really up and coming of what's going on. And
Yeah.
then the second piece is, like you said, having a peace of mind, having someone that you can call. They know your full itinerary. They know we send the itinerary over to them and say, okay, this is where they're going. They know exactly when you're arriving, when you're supposed to be somewhere. If you're not there, then they're making sure you are there. Different pieces like that, which really just like helps us and gives us trust for the people in different countries.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So investment. Let's talk about what that looks like.
Yeah. So, how we work at Coastline is that we do charge some planning fees for the initial kind of, you know, once we have the first call with you and we know, okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward, our advisors do charge planning fees. Those can range depending on the scope of the trip, depending on how long it is, how many days, you know, if it's 2 weeks, and also depending on the amount of people. I would say for a couple, say, two adults traveling internationally for about a week or 10 days, the planning fee can range from $300 per person to around $600 per person, depending on the scope of the trip. We also can do kind of larger families and groups. So I just sent a family of 12 to South Africa for Christmas last year, and it was amazing. We typically do between 1,000 to 1,500, and the planning fee is just our planning, research, and management fee. So it's a fee that you pay in the beginning, and it just covers kind of our time, making sure, you know, that it covers all of those things, and that's pretty much the initial investment up front. And then after that, there's no charges, and we try to be extremely transparent with everything.
Yeah.
So if there's ever, like for example, we have an air team and there is a ticketing fee, we'll tell everyone right up front.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I would guess, I don't know if this is true, but I would guess if there's some hotels we're using that you might get paid from them along the way.
Yeah.
But I don't care if I have the right experience and I've got to pay the whole same hotel fee anyway, so it doesn't matter. And so I guess what people need to understand is we're talking 300 to 2 grand. We're not talking, you know, $10,000 to engage your team
Of course.
to put something together, right? It just depends on the scope and that kind of thing. Which, again, you know, I was trying to think back of when we went to Crete. I think it was like $750 or something that we paid up front, and that's what we paid. But we had an amazing experience. We had somebody 24/7 that we could get a hold of. We had an app to check to know where we were
Yeah.
going. We had all our reservations made. That is a really reasonable investment to have a great experience, which is why I'm so excited that, you know, you're going to open this up to be able to work with some of our clients if they want, and that kind of thing too. So did I say that correctly? Like, am I on
Yeah.
the right page?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's really helpful that you've traveled with us and you're about to travel again because you're
Right.
hitting all the
Right.
right points.
I can't wait. How about this though? So this is something when you and I spoke before, I didn't know. So there's some large outfits out there like Viking Cruise Lines, let's say.
Hmm. Yeah.
Do you guys work with those? Like, because otherwise people would be like, well, I got to get hold of Viking and
Yeah.
then, book my riverboat cruise or something like that. Tell me, like, share some of that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think the way I always tell people too is it doesn't cost anything just to reach out. If you're interested in booking something, I always say reach out to me, tell me if this is something we do because 99% of the time we do it. Especially if we're in that, 4 or 5 star luxury space. Sometimes if it's the only thing we don't do is like a Verbo or Airbnb, specifically that brand, but we do
Okay.
do house rentals and villa rentals. We do all cruises. We do any like luxury big hotel brand we have a partnership with. So that's where, I always say just reach out. We'll always be like, yeah, great, we can help. Or we'll be very honest. I think our team is very transparent of, hey, if you book this with me, it's going to cost you a little bit more. And this is what that would include. But I understand if you don't want to. Because typically what will happen and for all hotels, cruise lines, things like that, it's not any additional cost to book with us. So just
Mhm.
I think I want to make that clear for people is if you were to call Viking and get a cabin for $3,000, you'll get the same cabin with us for $3,000. So there should never be, and if there ever is, we're very transparent about that.
Right. Right.
And so, yeah, Viking, we do cruises. Another thing that we also do is sometimes we'll do hotel only bookings because some people, because of our partnerships, we would again get the hotel at the same price that you would, but we have specific amenities that are added. And then also having an agency attached to the booking really helps, clients be first in line for any potential upgrades or things like that. They kind of get flagged to the top of like, okay, Coastline Travel Agency client, and it's marked in bookings like that.
Yeah, that's great. For people to engage with you then, for me, it's a lot of it's been through, I'm just trying to go back through my experience, been through email.
Hmm.
We'll go back and forth and then get on a call and talk about things. If people have an idea or want to get a hold of you, is it best just to shoot you an email? Like, what's the best way to start? They obviously can get a hold of us and we can make an introduction as well. Certainly can do that. But how do
Yeah.
they engage with you, Danielle?
I would say the best thing is just send me an email. I'm on my emails all the time. So you can send me an email and then if especially in the beginning and then once we kind of understand the scope, what you're interested in, I'll either jump on a call with you or with the clients individually or I will immediately be like, okay, they're perfect for this person and connect you so then we can start, the process.
Yeah, yeah. One last thing floating around in my head, domestic. Let's
Hmm.
say that I want to do a 5 day wine country trip in California. Do you
Yeah.
guys do some of those type of things too?
Yeah.
Or
Pretty much
Grand Canyon
everything
or whatever? Okay.
yeah, we do a lot of the US. I say a lot of, I mean, we do around the world. I think people love around the world, but we even have advisors that specialize within the US that really love, I think sometimes people think travel is only, international is the only time you would reach out. But I mean, we have incredible hotels, resorts, and areas, like you said, in Napa or, Jackson Hole or, Montana. Like there's just so many places we work all around the US. So yeah, you can reach out to
I,
us for that.
I have a curveball I'm gonna throw at you. So one of the
Okay.
things on my bucket list someday is to take a sabbatical
Yeah.
and do a 30-day walk on the Apostle Paul's pilgrimage on the Camino Trail through
Yeah.
Spain. I had a client do this. And so the way I understand it is you walk all day and then there's like a little village
Yeah.
that you stop in and stay. Those aren't necessarily luxury hotel. Would you guys, if you ever did that, would you look into something like that? Or is that,
Course. Yeah. So we work with partners who we kind of can put it together as a package. Yes, those stops aren't necessarily like luxury hotels that we book individually, but we have a lot of people who that's on their bucket list and so we'll book that for them. So a lot of the times we'll do a package. A lot of the times we like to sprinkle in like a nice luxury hotel at the very end. So it's a reward for everyone. But yes, I mean we have different ranges of super adventurous to like I want to sit at a resort and I want people bring me wine all day and that's all like it we really range across around so many different destinations and people so yeah that's a big one. I actually have clients that are doing that in April. They're leaving in a couple weeks to go do that and then they're ending at the Four Seasons in Madrid, but
yeah.
yeah, so we do all of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, anything that I didn't ask you to share with that we covered, we covered what the process looks like. It's really just, start with you, get in touch with you, and then if you need to hand them off to someone, you will. But, just to have a conversation about what's important to the client
Hmm.
and where you might be able to help them. And then you'll outline what the investment is to the client. And
Yeah.
then if they want to agree, sign a contract and move ahead, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think that the main thing I want to say too is, especially when you're reaching out or you're talking to an advisor, we really see these as more relationships, not advisor client, something like that. I think give as much detail as possible. Like use your personality, talk about things that you like. For me, example, I'm very passionate in sustainability and communities that give back. So if someone says that to me, it's like my bread and butter. So I'm like, okay, you should go to this place because they support this community here.
Mhm.
Or like, there's a lot, I think, more detail that people don't think about when they're trying to plan a trip. They're like, okay, you can just help me with the logistics, but it's so much more with that. It's the full experience. And so I think that's just the main thing I want to take away. It's not just planning the get there, it's planning the how you feel at the end of the trip. And
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being part of the 4 Days Coming network, and I
Of
appreciate
course.
you spending some time so we can have better insight.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. This was a great conversation.
You're right. Take care.
Awesome, thanks.